Welcome to the Online Course Masters Show, where we learn from the best online course creators how to better create and sell our very own courses. I'm your host, Phil Ebner, and today I get to talk with Hayden Aube, a graphics designer and Skillshare instructor making his living through his online courses and art. Visit onlinecoursemasters.com for show notes, to watch the video version of this episode, and see an archive of all our past guests. Please subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you're listening, and make sure to leave a rating. Help us get our first 100 ratings so I can know whether to keep making this show or not. Let's get straight on to the interview.
Right now I'm in Toronto, and hereabouts is where I've lived for most of my life. And up until the beginning of 2016, I was doing, just a lot of different design-related things. So I had done a 3-year program in graphic design, and then after that, I was trying to get into branding, get into web design. I was doing signage for theme parks at one point.
Okay.
That was actually pretty cool. But I eventually ended up moving to England for 2 years, and there I became a contract web developer, designer and developer. And it was kind of in that time that I realized that the thing that I thought that I really wanted to do, which was that I didn't want to do, it became less and less enjoyable for me. And I guess it became really clear to me that illustration was what I enjoyed. That's why I got into design. And so, again, at the beginning of 2016, I decided to stop doing all web design work and focus on making a career out of illustration, however that looked. And very shortly after that is when I started doing courses on Skillshare. They have this email that they send out. I think a lot of people get it. And it's just hey, you've done projects on our site before. Maybe you'd want to consider teaching. There was
So you were a student first.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, cool. And for people listening, and if you want to check out Hayden's work, you can go to hkaube.com, and you can see some of his beautiful work that he's done. His illustrations are really awesome, and he's got a really great website. So backing up just a little bit, though, when you were doing web design, was that just freelancing doing that, or were you working for other companies?
It was mostly contracting. So I would do I did 6 months in one place, then I did 3 somewhere else. Just several few month stints.
Got it. Okay, so you got the email from Skillshare saying, hey, you should teach an online course, and you thought, oh, maybe I should do that. And what was that process like, creating your very first online course?
It was a mix of excitement and nerves. It was kind of, putting yourself out there, kind of filming yourself. It was definitely something that I had to confront, but it was also for a long time I really wanted to do tutorials and that sort of thing. And so it was kind of this is so right. I totally should be doing this. So a scary experience, but also a really fun one. And they do a really good job of bringing on new teachers. I think they have these, what are they called?
Workshops or...
Yeah. So every month, all the people who are making their first class can kind of get together online and kind of go through the process together. There's step by step, and there's videos to watch. And it did make the process a lot easier to know that I had all these other people I could talk to, and it was kind of broken down into manageable chunks.
Yeah. What was the hardest thing for you? What was the biggest hurdle for creating your first courses?
Oh, yeah. I'm going to say it was it'd be the recording. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That is I really didn't know what the experience of recording was going to be like. And it was something I've never done before. And so kind of doing it, it did take some getting used to. And again, kind of confronting some weird feelings.
Yeah, being on camera, hearing yourself talk on camera. I know it's really awkward for a lot of people in the beginning.
Yeah.
What are your courses on now, and what was your first course that you taught?
So the first course that I taught was on using Illustrator to make a fantasy weapon. So I just kind of went through the process of making this sword. And since then, the majority of my courses have been similar in that they're how to achieve desired results in Illustrator.
Got it. Okay.
Only exception is my latest class is a bit more on the theory side. So it's dealing with character design and how to kind of come up with cool backstories for characters. But it's primarily, I guess, technical.
Got it. Okay, cool. So very niche topics, and I want to talk a lot more about that whole process of creating your first course and your course creation process. But I want to fast forward a little bit. And first, how long have you been creating your courses, and what has creating your courses allowed you to do, and what's it been like in terms of additional income for you? Is this kind of a full-time thing now, or just part-time income? What's it been for you?
Yeah. So I started, my first course was in March. And since then I've made 7. And this is now my primary source of income. The stuff that what I get from Skillshare.
Nice.
It's, I really didn't think that was going to happen. But it happened a lot quicker than I thought to. Which was, I think, I know that they've changed the payment model really recently. But yeah, at the time it was it worked out to every one person who took your class, you get somewhere between $1 and $2. And so the first month I got $50, and because I had 50 people take my class, and I was like, all right, this is, it's kind of cool. I mean, it's nothing to, freak out about, but it's pretty cool. My second month I made another class, and then it was coming time to when I was getting paid. And I was like, okay, so I have 1,500 people have taken my classes now. It was a big jump, and I didn't expect it. But I'm like, so the math tells me that I should make 1,500. But I still kind of didn't really believe it. And then, it was it should be this way, but
and Skillshare has always been a little bit funny because you don't know exactly how much you're going to make at the end of the month. I started my courses on Udemy, and exactly when someone buys a course, this is how much you're getting. But on Skillshare, it's you're waiting till the 15th of the following month to see when that PayPal arrives and how much is it going to be. Now they have a few more stats, and it's based off of the minutes watched now. Yes. So you can kind of predict a little bit more. But it's also really interesting because you're the first person I'm talking to who started on Skillshare and is focused on Skillshare, rather than a lot of people I've talked to who started on Udemy and maybe tried to transition some of their courses on Skillshare. But you're having a lot of success on Skillshare, and I think a lot has to do with the more creative classes do well on Skillshare. But did you have an audience before creating your course, or how did you even get your course out there?
So if any audience, it would be just internet art friends. So there's a couple Slack groups, and do you know IRC?
No, I don't.
It's older chat ways or whatever. But anyway, I had friends in these different places, and I just kind of showed them, and some of them were interested, and I think the thing that made the biggest difference for me was I was I am going to give away as many free enrollments into my classes as I possibly can. I'm nobody knows who I am. I don't even know if my classes are any good. I just need people to take them. So I just continue to, send out messages on Twitter and Facebook and stuff, and to my friends, and anywhere people would actually see it. Hey, here's this class. It's totally free. Take it. And that made a big difference.
Got it. That's good advice. And now you've created, you said 7 classes, right? How are you coming up with the course topics, and what are your plans for your future courses?
Yeah. So what's worked really well for me for coming up with topics has been focusing on the stuff that I really want to improve in my own work. So the second class I made, which was the one that really kind of pushed things over the edge, and is still like it is my most popular class, was on getting a certain textured effect in Illustrator. And that was something that I really wanted for my own work. Like, I've seen people do really cool texture stuff. I didn't know how to quite do it. And so I spent a good several weeks just trying to figure out what was a good way to do it for myself. That led me to create that class. Later down the line, I'm like, okay, I really need to work on how I work with color. So I did several weeks again of work exploring color and how to improve it. And that led me to make my color class. And so that's kind of there've been a class or two where that hasn't been the case. And I would say that those are probably my least, at least the classes that I don't feel as strongly about. But what's been really kind of working is, identifying where I need to improve, going and improving that, and then turning that into a class.
I think that's smart. I mean, if you have to improve it and you're interested in it, there's probably other people out there thinking about those topics and coming up with those topics. And I think you're just proof that there's a lot of people who, in this whole online business world that I've come across, they think that the only kind of product that sells is I'm going to teach you how to make money with a business or make money online. But your classes are definitely not that. I mean, you're teaching people real world skills. And so I think, what do you say to someone who is scared that they don't know what to teach, or what they know won't make money on Skillshare or other platforms?
Yeah. I mean, I guess, like, I would say you just don't really, there's no way of knowing until you try. I had no idea that my classes were going to take off in the way that they did. It was just like, hey, this seems like a cool thing. Maybe it works. Like, worst case scenario, I get to kind of explore that, and I can say, okay, that doesn't work for me. I won't do it. But there are plenty of people, on Skillshare, on Udemy, on YouTube, all over the place, doing not money making courses.
Yeah.
So it's totally viable. There's tons of evidence out there.
And a lot of people on Skillshare, I find, or from Udemy who've tried Skillshare, feel like on Skillshare, the game is like you have to be posting new courses every week. And once you post a course, it has like a very short lifespan before no one enrolls in it anymore. Has that been your experience, or do you have classes where they're consistently, getting enrollments months after you've posted them?
Yeah. So it definitely is worth acknowledging that, like, there is a 2-week window after you publish a class where the most potential for new people coming to it. Like, that's you get a boost in your trending score, so there's more chances that people just coming onto Skillshare are going to see your class. But when I've like when you look at like some of the classes on the site that have like over 10,000-20,000 people take it, that's not from that 2-week period. Like, these are classes that are just really good. They stand on their own merits, and they continue to get attention for it. And like I said, my texture class was the second class I made, and that still gets like one of the highest amounts of enrollments, because it's clearly something that people want.
Yeah, cool. How are you structuring your courses? Like, how long are they on average? And do you have like a structure that you follow for each Skillshare course with like an intro video or any sort of way that you structure your courses?
Nothing too concrete. Every time I like make a course, I feel like I've figured out the formula. I'm like, oh, this works so well. I'll make every course like this. And then I start making, it sounds like maybe that's a similar feeling for you. But then as soon as I start like the next course, I'm like, oh, I have to completely redo everything. As soon as I think I have it figured out, I realize I don't. So, yes, I put like an introduction in all of them, and I put a conclusion at the end, and all the courses are based around creating a project, because that's just the way Skillshare is. But other than that, there's no, I'm constantly kind of fine tuning and trying different things for it.
Yeah. So, and you talked about like some of these courses you spend weeks kind of researching or figuring out the technique yourself, and then you create the course. But once you have the idea, about how long does it take you to make the actual course?
Okay. I mean, it definitely varies. But I would say like if I know the topic, if I've done all like the sufficient research and testing and all that stuff, I'm gonna say like if I had a week of solid dedication, I guess like 8 hours a day, I could probably put it together. But I would err more on the side of like 2 weeks or something.
Nice. Okay.
Sometimes I just want to like animate the intro or something, and then that ends up taking like 4 days.
Yeah.
So it's nothing too concrete.
I think that's important, though, for people to hear that you're putting that amount of effort into your courses, because, again, I think I hear a lot of people interested in Skillshare, but they think they could create a course in a day or in a few hours and put it up and have a lot of success.
Well, they could.
You think that's possible?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't strive for it myself, but I think that there are, like, I think it's possible to do something maybe in an hour a day. And
I do know there's some people out there that have like courses and they publish them every couple days or so. It's pretty insane. Have you thought about putting your courses on other platforms at all?
So I later on last year, I was very close to taking all of my courses and uploading them on Gumroad like Skillshare. And I think I got to the point where like I recorded like a separate intro in front of all of them to say like, hey, this is original on Skillshare, but just to kind of, I guess, like reach a new audience and then sell them individually. And I had everything all like lined up and ready to go. And then I was just like, wait, like, do I want to do this? And I even had a conversation with some of the people at Skillshare and some of my friends and my girlfriend and stuff. And it just, I decided not to do it. It kind of made sense that like, it just made sense not to split my focus like that. Mm-hmm. And the courses themselves, like I've designed them for Skillshare. Like they're based around a project. The kind of peer-to-peer like community part to it, I think, is really important. And you don't get that with Gumroad. So rather than try to get people to go there and buy one of my courses, I would much rather put that effort into inviting people to come to Skillshare and take them. Got
it. And what about Udemy? What's your opinion about Udemy?
I actually don't know very much about Udemy at all. I have not looked at teaching on there, and I haven't done a course there before. So maybe you tell me about it.
Well, that's really awesome and interesting to know, because coming from Udemy, like I feel like it's like Udemy is like this big marketplace, and it's like where you go to teach online courses. But I know, and you're a great example, that there's a lot of people who have never even heard of Udemy. And from my experience, Udemy is great for more like bigger courses, not as much project based. Even though project based works and is a good way to like have an engaging course, I think if you took your courses from Skillshare and packaged them into a bigger course, or you made a more like general like Illustrator for beginners course, those are the types of courses that do pretty well on Udemy. I've put some of my courses both on Udemy and Skillshare, and they do decently on Skillshare, but I know the ones that I specifically create for Skillshare that are project based and shorter tend to do better. So it's just another idea, just eventually. But I totally hear you about like splitting your focus, and also like wanting to like respect the platform that you started out on. And that's how I've felt with Udemy, is like I started out there and there's other opportunities and platforms out there, but at the end of the day, they've like given me so much that I don't want to just like disregard them. But cool. So you started teaching your courses on Skillshare. You didn't have an audience. Are you building an audience off of Skillshare at all right now?
I'd say to a certain degree, yeah.
Yeah. What are you doing?
So, I mean, most of the audience that is off of Skillshare has come from Skillshare. But other than that, I also have a series of shorter, like 60-second tutorials that I've been doing for the past couple months. And that's been pretty great. It's just like really straight to the point. Like, what can I get across? It was kind of like an exercise for me. Like, what can I get across in 60 seconds? And those have been going pretty well. Aside from that, I do like little bits of like writing kind of stuff. And I share a lot of like the illustrations I'm working on and like the process work and that kind of thing. And people seem to do that.
That's showing up on your blog, the writing that you're doing, or?
I use Medium.
Okay, Medium, nice.
Like,
okay, cool.
It's a blog, yeah.
And what about the 60-second videos? Where are you posting those?
Like on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, like all the places. But part of the kind of 60-second constraint is because that's the limit for Instagram.
Yeah, but that's cool. I mean, I've thought with my own tutorials trying to figure out how to do that kind of thing. You see so many of these videos or I see so many of these videos in my Facebook stream fly by where it's like this very short, compact tutorial with subtitles and everything made for mobile viewing. It is a really cool thing to do. Are you trying to get those people onto your website or onto your courses from those videos, or are you just kind of like building
I mean, like, yeah, I would hope that people like, I guess my hope would be that if people see those and they like the way that I teach stuff or the way that I create tutorials, they will be like, oh, okay, well, he also does longer length stuff on Skillshare. I'll go check him out there.
Got it. Okay, cool. And what, back to the basics, what equipment are you using to create your tutorials?
I have, I'm using the webcam on my like MacBook that you see right now. And then then I have like just like the blue snowball microphone.
Nice.
That's hearing right now. And then I do have a digital SLR camera that I just started to use for video. It's nothing like super high tech. And like, I think my 5 classes were the webcam and the built-in mic, and then just using like QuickTime for screen recordings.
Nice. That's like the easiest way to get started.
Yeah. Well, I think that's important too. Cause like sometimes I think like a barrier can be like, oh, I need to have like, you see people doing like these really great courses and they have amazing equipment and it's like, oh man, I need to buy all that shit before like I can do it. And I got like a really great response from my classes and I was using the most basic stuff that I have.
Totally. I started out with the blue snowball, and for $50, I don't think you can get an easier and better microphone to use. Are you enjoying this episode? We hope you're learning to become a better course creator. If you want to learn the fast track to 6 figures with online courses, get your free 7-step guide to success at onlinecoursemasters.com. Now let's get back to the show. So you got your YouTube channel, you got your own website that you built. What did you actually use to build your website? Is this a custom design or did you use a theme?
I'm using it's my portfolio. It's it comes with like a Creative Cloud subscription with Adobe.
Oh, cool, nice.
So whoever has that, it's free. You just go to like myportfolio.com, I think it is.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's awesome.
It links up with Behance too. So it's like I'll also put a lot of my like work on Behance. So it's kind of an easy way for me to, I guess, like kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Just put it up there and it shows up on my site too.
Nice. And so are you you said the online courses is kind of your main source of income right now, but are you still trying to get illustration jobs and doing that freelancing? I'm
not doing any like super active like prospecting, but some jobs still kind of come my way, and those usually are the ones that kind of, I guess, find me as opposed to me go seek them out. Those are usually the better ones too.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, I'll be doing like some kind of, I'm doing like mentoring calls shortly.
Nice.
There's a new, I don't know if I'm supposed to say the name or not, but there's like a website coming that I'm going to be on to do like one-on-one calls, and that'll be a nice little way to, I guess, like pad my income as well.
Nice. That's really cool. So what's like a typical day like in your life as an online course creator and in kind of an online entrepreneur? What's like, what are you doing this week? What are you doing today aside from this interview? I think like sometimes people like glorify the idea of being an online course teacher, and it is glorious. It is really cool, but sometimes it's kind of boring or it's just interesting to see what other people are spending their time doing.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like the most like important thing, like it's always changing because depending on what class I'm maybe making or what other area of focus. Like right now I'm kind of I'm changing up those videos I was talking about, the 60-second ones. I'm kind of changing those up. They were once just about Illustrator. Now I'm broadening them out to different topics as well. So I'm doing a lot of work into that. But I'd say the things that kind of are routine is that I do like writing a journal every morning. And to me, that's very, very important. And I put a lot of effort into not going on social media too much. So, I
That's
usually
good.
like it's not until, well, it's good. Like I found it's like, I know something I kind of discovered is like that I can actually make a lot of friends on Twitter and stuff. And that's actually really fun. But that also I can totally not get anything done by doing that. So I kind of have this like no social before or until after lunch sort of thing.
Yeah.
But after, but I guess in terms of like the day-to-day sort of thing, like currently, I'm getting ready to move to Montreal, because kind of in line with what I mentioned before, the kind of learning something so that I can teach it. I've signed up for like a concept art program. So I'm actually now going to be going to Montreal for 3 months and like do a full intensive course. So I'm actually not going to be making classes for like 3 months so that I can actually learn a bunch of stuff and then make really great classes.
Cool. That's exciting. And so that's a 3-month program. Is it through like a school or just what is it through?
Yeah, there's it's called Sin Studio. It's like Montreal's really big for like concept art for like video games. And this school in particular does I guess a lot of education for that. But I kind of like tracked down people online who have taken the course and asked what they thought. And they're just like, oh, it's so good. Like, you got to go. So, I'll be kind of like a full-time student for three months.
Nice. So going back to your videos that you're creating and your blog, and you got Instagram, you got Facebook, Twitter, Behance, all these other Dribbble, all these other places. Is there one platform that you would suggest people focusing on if they're trying to build an audience? Is there something that is growing faster than others for you?
Okay. I mean, the one that's growing the fastest for me would be Instagram. Also, given that I actually probably don't do as much there as I do on something like Twitter. So that's probably worth noting. But I guess more important than that to me is like to use the platform that you like. Like for me, I use Twitter and Instagram, and mostly just those, because those are the ones that I kind of have a fun time on. Whereas I've tried really hard to like use Facebook a lot before, or like I've looked at Pinterest and people have told me like that these platforms are really, really great for building an audience. It's just not for me though. Yeah. I think that I just kind of, again, like I'd rather not split my focus.
Yeah, that's what I just talked to someone else, Jessica Barst, who's going to be on the podcast. And she was saying kind of the same thing. Like there's all these other platforms out there and you could spend a lot of time trying to learn new platforms, learn how to build an audience on a new platform, but you should really focus on what's working. And to your point, you should focus on what you enjoy and figure out maybe how to work that platform rather than just, spreading yourself too thin. Cool. So at the end of the day, Skillshare seems like a very viable option to grow an extra income. Are there any other pieces of advice in terms of just helping people pick a topic to teach, or just what seems to be working best on Skillshare that you can give our listeners?
I guess it's kind of like a reoccurring theme, but like if you're thinking of teaching something, like, make it something that you love, not what you think is just going to make you a bunch of money, or, like my classes have it, like, ironically brought me the most money when I'm not thinking about making the money, when it's just about like making what I think would be really good for me, or for other people. So yeah, just, I think it's really cool because like there is like an audience for everything online. So like no matter what your thing is, like you can make videos about it, and people who are like just as passionate about it as you are will find you and they will do it. And that, yeah, that kind of gives everybody like a lot of freedom just to make the stuff they love.
I love it. I love it. And yeah, the online world is growing all the time. And these platforms, Skillshare, Udemy, they're expanding internationally too. Yeah. So really, whatever topic it is, there's going to be people interested in it. And speaking of this expansion, do you have what's your vision for yourself in the next 3 to 5 years? And how are you actually taking action right now to achieve those goals?
So I have not thought that far ahead.
It's fine.
The furthest, pretty much, it's usually like a 6 to 12 month sort of like, because I find like by the time that happens, like what I want to do is completely different, or it's like, yeah. So right now, the big focus for me is learning as much as I can in the next 3 months so that I can spend the rest of the year making just great courses. And that also means like trying to get my illustration skills up to, where I want them to be, which I guess is just like an ever growing sort of thing. But other than that, like, I think I'm also trying to head in the direction of, just having like some more free time for myself as well to kind of do some like traveling. And like, I guess what I found is like, I wanted to do, like, I think a lot of people want to, work freelance or like work from home, or like, because it's like, oh, I have all this freedom, I can do like all this stuff. But what I found is like, once I started doing the work that I really enjoy, I do so much of it. And so now more than ever, I need to, I guess, like step back and do other things.
Yeah, totally. I think it takes a certain person to be successful freelancing or being a course creator. But those are the type of people who, when they do something, like we go full force and we end up, not taking care of ourselves and sitting in our office in front of a computer hunched over for 10 hours a day. And sometimes you got to go outside, even if it's snowy in Toronto.
Yeah. I mean, like walking my dog has become like a godsend because it's what gets me out.
Nice. Okay. Speaking of dogs, before we wrap up, my wife and I, we've been thinking about getting a dog because we actually have 2 cats, and we actually moved into a house, and it's the first time we have like a yard, and we thought about getting a dog. What type of dog do you have first of all?
It's a Beagle and Bulldog mix.
Okay, cool. Okay. So how is the Beagle, how did you even decide to get that dog in the first place?
I think it was my girlfriend was just on just online looking at, like, we talked about like getting a dog. We didn't really know what we want. And it was really like, oh, look at this. Like, this is a really fun looking dog. Let's get this one. We're like, let's go check it out. And we like drove to this farm, and there was like 20 of these puppies that just kind of roughed us. And then my girl, and there's one of the dogs that just did not really care that we were there. Okay. And so, Melissa was like, oh, that's the one I want. So we went, and sure enough, like our dog is like, I think she's close to 4 now, and she is incredibly like stubborn and doesn't really, give us any attention. And it's kind of makes sense because that's the one we picked. Yeah,
that's funny. And this is personal, so everyone listening right now isn't going to care about this unless they're thinking about getting dogs. But my worry, so we have 2 cats, and they're really easy. And so we weigh the pros and cons of getting a dog because it seems like it's so much more work compared to a cat. But is it worth it in the end?
I mean, like, of course I'm going to say yes. Like,
you're not going to talk about your kid.
But I mean, I would say, sorry?
You're not going to take back your dog to the farm.
No, I mean, I haven't done it yet, so that's probably a good sign. But I mean, yeah, it was more work than I thought it was going to be. I think like any person, like getting a pet or something. But I mean, it's great. Like, she's a part of the family now, and we love her. So there's no way we could ever bring her back.
Nice. Okay, cool. Well, thanks for that. Those insider tips for dog ownership. How about, is there, I don't think I asked you this, is there any other inspiration or books or blogs you follow that you think could help people listening to this podcast?
I mean, I'm just going to answer like based on what works for me.
Yep.
I listen to a lot of like the Tim Ferriss podcast. That's really helpful for me. There's another one called Creative Pep Talk by Andy Miller, which, I mean, for any like kind of creative person, I find it's very motivational. In terms of books, this is again related to what I was talking about not splitting my focus. There's a book called Essentialism and another one called The One Thing, and both those are really kind of about just kind of really finding like what's the one thing you want to focus on and kind of cutting everything else out. It's been really helpful for me in kind of deciding what I should and shouldn't be doing.
That's awesome. I mean, no one's mentioned those resources, so I'm going to have to check those out myself. So thanks a lot for that. And last question is, how can people find you online?
I mean, you said it perfectly at the beginning, like just hkaube.com. From there, it's like all the social things are there, and yeah, I can be found pretty easily.
Yeah, it's super easy to find all of your Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Dribble, everything there. So hkaube.com. Mm-hmm. Cool. Well, thank you so much for being on the show, and I can't wait to see your success and see what happens after you take your course in Montreal.
Cool. Thanks.
Thanks a lot. I hope you enjoyed this episode. There's no better way to learn how to become a better online course creator than heading over to onlinecoursemasters.com and downloading your free 7-step guide to success. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the show wherever you listen and make sure to leave a rating. If you do, I might even read it on a future show. Help us reach our first 100 ratings. It'll just take an extra minute of your time and help me know how to make this show even better. Thanks and have a beautiful day.